Now, when I was growing up as a boy, I was the only child in that family, because the family where I grew up, or the family that raised me, they got me from the county nurse, and I don't know where you got your young'uns from, but my folks got their young'uns from the county nurse. You probably had to take whatever you could get. My folks had a choice, and out of all of that choice, they chose me. Now, I got baptized, or I got dipped in the water when I was a boy, 14 years old. I was serious, and I went down the aisle in a revival meeting, and they done what to do in most churches. Nobody ever said a thing in the world to me about accepting Jesus Christ as my Savior. They just wanted to join the church. To join the church, you had to get baptized, so they set up a date, and I went over and got baptized. I went in a dry center and came out a wet one. I didn't know a bit more about Jesus Christ than a hog does a holiday. Not a thing. Later on in my life, when I was 23 years old, a man sat down in my house and took the Bible and showed me about Jesus Christ. Didn't quite understand it, but I went to church that night and listened to him preach the same thing again, and I saw that. I walked down the aisle in the church where I was a Sunday school superintendent and admitted that I was lost and I was coming to Christ and getting saved. When I was first married, my wife cooked a pot of beans not long after we were married, and I started eating them, and I hadn't been married too long. I didn't know too much. Don't know too much now, but a lot more than I did then. And the first mouthful of beans, I said, they don't taste like Mother's beans. That's a no-no. You don't do that. Now, all women are alike in that sense. You just don't do that. So I hurt her feelings, and I was sorry that I did, and I've never said that again. I've never said that again. I remember when we went to housekeeping, and the first morning that we got up for breakfast, and she'll kill me when we get home for telling this, but she baked some bread on an oil stove. Some of you folks know what a kerosene stove is. Well, you can't bake bread with one of them things. It won't brown it. It'll just get hard and blue. That's the kind you feed ducks when you want them to sink. So she had her back to me, and I was sitting at the table, and I looked around, and she was crying, and I said, "What's the matter?" She said, "Look at them biscuits." Said, "They're blue." I said, "Honey, I love them that way. I just love them that way." And I ate 3 or 4 of them. Almost choked me to death, but I ate them. You won't ever have to come and say, "Well, life's just not worth living. I'm just going to end it all. I'm just going to. Well, you heard about the fellow that got so disgusted that he got him a knife and a rope and a gun. And he climbed up in a big tree out over the deepest part of the river. Tied the rope around his neck and tied it to a limb, put the knife to his throat, the gun to his temple, and jumped. He dropped the knife, the rope broke, the pistol snapped, and if it hadn't been a good swimmer, he'd have drowned. And it just happens to be that nowhere in the Bible does God say, to be a member of Johnston Chapel makes you all right. Being a member of Johnston Chapel doesn't actually, in God's sight, make you anything. It is a matter of following the counsel of the Bible, of walking in the way of Christian people, and sitting in the seat of those who worship and praise and honor the Lord. That's what counts. And that's what Johnston Chapel stands for. That's what it has always taught men. That's what it has always sought to bring men to. Sinful unbelief. The worst sin you can commit against God is simply to say, "God, your word's not true." There has never been a time when I have, for a moment, regretted coming to Johnston Chapel. My ministry, to say the least, in this pulpit has always been exciting and pleasant and rewarding. And dear to my heart will always be all of you, but especially that little band of believers that were made up of Cahills and Dodrills and Elmores and Halls and Harolds and Harveys and Hearns and Mandibles and Reeds and Rumbergs and Wades that were here when I first came. And I think I've named everybody that was here. If that happened not to be your last name, you were connected in those families somewhere. And that made up the nucleus of this church. Hundreds more have come and been added to the worship and to the work here, and I'm grateful for all of you. Johnston Chapel, as it is today, is the work of many people. And you know, as I come to the end of this chapter in my life, I think you are blessed indeed, and I could not be happier to know that this work will continue and will grow under the faithful, responsible leadership of Pastor John King and Brother Jim Knopfsinger and the others that are here. If you will always treat them as you have treated me, they cannot help but be a success. So I want to sing tonight a part of 3 songs. I've never tried this before in my life. Now, you probably thought when I sang before it was a part of a half a dozen. No, that was an attempt to sing just one. But this one sort of, in song, relives that experience for me.
Praise all the day long with rapture.